Hey, thanks for joining me. Welcome to Sam Outside. I'm Sam, and well, I'm outside. And I have been watching it for a while, and I just wanted to introduce you to the Jack-In-The-Pulpit. Yeah, it is a very unique plant. It looks almost tropical. It looks quite alien, in fact. Um, but they are growing all over my property. All right, so this is the plant, 3 leaves here, but its namesake is from a very specific part, and that would be this right here, the spathe, which is this little enclosure, is, or otherwise known as, in this case, that would be the pulpit, is designed to protect the jack, which is the Spadix inside. My apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. Likes wet feet. You can see here a little bit of a damp area. But yeah, very, very neat. It's also referred to as a wild turnip. All right. I've got a number of them here, and it's like I said, you can hear the squishiness of them. So yeah, there's another great specimen there. Another one coming up there. There's a couple smaller versions here. And then as I really start to take a look around, I can see some smaller ones, and as I really start to look, right in the wet spot here, all different sizes, because they can live up to 25 years. It's an amazing plant. Right there's another one right there, different sizes. But the first specimen that I showed you, it's got to be half a meter, right? It's almost 18 inches tall there. It's a pretty unique thing, and now, to learn more about them, I mean, again, as a content creator, right, I'm not doing it justice because there are so many people who are doing the plant much more justice on the internet. But I, as a forest therapy guide and as an outdoor educator, someone who's been in camping and outdoor education for a long time, I own a healthy collection of identification books. As a certified arborist, I wanted to be able to learn more about the trees and the pests and resiliencies and pruning techniques and best practices for helping people manage their properties. And as a forest therapy guide, I wanted to introduce people to plants they should avoid. And depending on the plant identification resource that you have, if you've got one on woodland plants, yeah, Jack-In-The-Pulpit's in there. If you've got one on medicinal plants, yeah, Jack-In-The-Pulpit will be there. If you've got one on edible plants, it's not there. The intentional reason for that is because it is poisonous, all right? Calcium oxalate, the fine crystals in that, when it's eaten raw, yeah, it's, from what I've heard, anyway, no personal experience, it's quite hot, but it's toxic. Now, this plant has been used by indigenous peoples in this area for so many different purposes, but mainly for healing, for soothing, remedies for the eyes, and if it was ingested, again, dealing with something that was swelling or pain relief, but also as a poultice, it would be put on anything that was swelling. But there are a couple instances where it was used primarily for eye injuries, eye swelling of that nature. Wild turnip, because there is a corm at its base, and it can be quite substantial if you have a healthy specimen there. But in everything that I've read, it's not eaten raw, all right? It's either fully dried and then ground up, because again, it could be used as flour, or if it was sliced or eaten in some kind of, it was boiled. And when I mean like 3 days, you had to remove all the toxicity, all the poisonous aspects out of it. So it did have some nutritional value. It did have its needs and care and its preparation, but because it's not something that's part of our culture, part of our need, you will not find it in a wild edibles guide. Medicinal, yes, it's there, but again, very much care taken to its application. If it's topical, not as much of a concern, but anything that would be ingested or end up in your system other than systemically, then yeah, very much care and preparation. Drying it, best practices are just boiling the poop out of it, right? So, and at that point, we've got access to so many other things that would be a remedy for similar instances, and the seasonal likelihood of you needing this specific plant, it's just not there. There's so many other natural remedies in the forest that would deal with inflammation, that would deal with something of the eye specifically, and were more readily available and would not be as seasonal. But to the people who lived off this land and with this land in its lifespan, while it was in bloom, it would be something that would be sought after and cared for very specifically, intentionally. Now, after the Jack-In-The-Pulpit, the flowering part of that plant, there's later in the summer, the stalk will have this mass, this collection of bright red berries, and although I haven't found anything that would relate to its medicinal or edible qualities, they were used, harvested, so that they could be added to rattles. Very bright color, nice and round, and they would dry just to be stone hard. So rather than collecting small pebbles, which, if people were making those types of things when they had more time during the winter, it was probably lighter and something they would look forward just in terms of its coloration, its aesthetical aspects. So a couple really relevant pieces of information about the Jack-In-The-Pulpit. It's probably growing wild where you are. It loves mixed forests and likes wet feet. Thank you very much for sharing. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.